The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame tells one version of drumming history, a clean, celebrated version built around names that fit on museum plaques and sell tribute concert tickets. But drumming history has another version, and it runs underneath the first one like a second river, darker and faster, and often more impressive. Tonight, we are counting down 12 drummers who sat behind a kit and did things that left even the most decorated legends with nowhere left to stand. Number 12, Bobby Caldwell. Captain Beyond formed in 1972 with a lineup that should have been enormous. Rod Evans from Deep Purple on vocals, Larry Reinhardt and Lee Dorman from Iron Butterfly, and then Bobby Caldwell behind the kit, a drummer so physically gifted and compositionally inventive that he seemed to belong to a different category than almost anyone working in rock at the time. His playing on the debut Captain Beyond record is practically its own instrument, shifting time signatures mid-phrase without ever losing the groove, building rhythmic tension the way a film composer builds dread. Listen to a track like "1,000 Days of Yesterdays, and you hear a drummer treating a rock song the way Elvin Jones treated a jazz standard, with polyrhythmic layering that most listeners process as pure feeling without ever consciously registering the technical architecture underneath it. John Bonham got the stadium. Bobby Caldwell got the cult following and a career that most listeners still do not know existed. Number 11, Prairie Prince. Most people who watched television in the late 1970s probably saw the Tubes perform without ever knowing what was happening behind the drum kit.
But it will cost you $1.
Prairie Prince was a showman by necessity and a technician by nature, capable of holding a time signature through the most deliberately chaotic stage productions in rock history, while also playing with a melodic sensitivity that was quietly staggering. The Tubes were known for theatrical excess, 10-piece band arrangements, and costume changes that bordered on performance art, and Prince anchored all of it without a single moment of slippage. He later worked with Todd Rundgren and contributed to recordings across several decades without ever becoming a household name. The gap between his actual skill level and his public profile is one of the more puzzling oversights in American rock history, and it has never fully been explained. Number 10, Corky Laing. Mountain played Woodstock in 1969, which you would think would earn a drummer some lasting recognition. It did not, at least not for Corky Laing. He drove Leslie West and Felix Pappalardi through some of the most powerful and physically demanding rock of that era, with a style that mixed jazz instincts with raw, uncompromising force. His work on Nantucket Sleighride alone deserves more academic attention than it has ever received. That track runs nearly 10 minutes on the 1971 album of the same name, and Laing holds its shifting emotional weight across every single section without ever letting the momentum sag or the energy tip into chaos. He was never subtle when subtlety was not required. He was never reckless when the song demanded control. That balance, held consistently across an entire catalog, is precisely what separates great drummers from merely loud ones. Number 9, Tommy Aldridge. There is a live recording of Tommy Aldridge playing a solo during his years with the Pat Travers Band in the late 1970s that has circulated among drummers for decades like a secret handshake. The man played double bass long before it was fashionable in mainstream hard rock, and he did it with a musicality that most speed-focused drummers never approach. His work on the 1979 live album Go For What You Know captured something raw and utterly committed, a drummer playing at the absolute ceiling of his ability in real time with no safety net. His later work with Whitesnake and Ozzy Osbourne brought him closer to a wider audience, but even then he was largely overshadowed by the frontman. The technique was immaculate, the feel was impeccable, the name recognition never caught up with either. Number 8. Carmine Appice. Before John Bonham redefined what a powerful drummer could sound like inside a rock band, Carmine Appice was already doing something remarkably similar inside Vanilla Fudge, attacking the kit with a size and authority that had very few precedents in the late 1960s. Vanilla Fudge's 1968 debut went to number 6 on the Billboard charts, which means Appice's thunderous, deliberate approach reached a genuinely mass audience at the exact moment rock drumming was still figuring out what it was allowed to be. He later played alongside Jeff Beck and Tim Bogert in Beck, Bogert and Appice, a band that lasted only one studio album, but generated enough recorded intensity to fill a decade. He contributed to Rod Stewart's biggest commercial run as well, quietly anchoring hits that millions of people heard without ever registering his name. He influenced drummers who went on to influence drummers who are now in the Hall of Fame. The chain leads back to Carmine Appice every single time. Number 7. Denny Carmassi. Montrose, Heart, Whitesnake. 3 bands, 3 completely different rhythmic environments, and Denny Carmassi navigated all of them with the kind of professional precision that gets quietly appreciated by musicians and quietly ignored by the public. His work with Montrose in the early 1970s helped define the sound of American hard rock before the genre had fully named itself. His later contributions to Heart gave songs like Crazy on You and Barracuda a rhythmic spine that made them last. Those tracks from the 1976 album Dreamboat Annie have been licensed, covered, and played on rock radio for nearly 50 years, and Carmassi's drumming is a structural reason why they hold up with the same tension on the 100th listen as they delivered on the first. Adaptable, reliable, invisible, somehow, despite all of it. Number 6. Aynsley Dunbar. He played with John Mayall's Bluesbreakers before the Bluesbreakers were famous. He played with Journey during the years that produced their most celebrated albums. He played with Whitesnake, with Jefferson Starship, with Frank Zappa, moving from band to band with an ease that suggested he could have been the permanent centerpiece of any one of them. His work with Journey on Infinity and the records that followed helped launch one of the best-selling American rock careers of the 1980s. The faces on those album covers became icons. Aynsley Dunbar's name was already gone by then, replaced by Steve Smith, who also happened to be excellent. That is just the kind of career he had. Number 5. Ian Paice. Deep Purple has been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame since 2016. Ian Paice has been in Deep Purple since 1968, longer than any other member, through every lineup, every breakup, every reunion, every stylistic shift the band ever attempted. He is the only constant in the entire Deep Purple story, and his playing across that span is a clinic in how to serve a band without ever overplaying it. His jazz background gave him a flexibility that most hard rock drummers of his generation simply did not have. Consider what he does on the 1972 Machine Head record, one of the best-selling hard rock albums ever made. Where he locks in with Roger Glover's bass to create a rhythmic engine precise enough to let Ritchie Blackmore and John Lord do anything they want on top of it without the whole structure losing its center of gravity. He swings when the music calls for it. He pounds when it demands that. He has outlasted every version of every conversation about who matters in British hard rock, and he still does not get enough credit for any of it. Number 4. Clive Burr. The Iron Maiden that most people fell in love with in the early 1980s was built in significant part on Clive Burr's drumming. He played on the first 3 studio albums, including Killers and Jan, The Number of the Beast, records that helped establish the sonic template for an entire genre. The Number of the Beast was released in March of 1982 and reached number 1 in the United Kingdom, meaning Burr's drumming reached the top of the charts and helped define what a generation of metal musicians believed the instrument was supposed to sound like. His playing was aggressive but controlled, propulsive but never sloppy, with a feel for dynamics that made even the fastest passages breathe. Nicko McBrain, who replaced him in 1982, was and remains a superb drummer. But Clive Burr built the foundation that Nicko McBrain stepped onto, and that contribution has been underappreciated for a very long time. Number 3. Bill Lorden. Robin Trower built his entire post-Procol Harum career on a sound that required an extraordinarily specific kind of drumming: slow, heavy, deeply blues-inflected, with room for texture and restraint in places where other drummers would have reached for another fill. Bill Lorden gave him exactly that across some of the finest work either man ever produced, including the live album Robin Trower Live, recorded in 1976, which remains one of the most honest documents of what a power trio could do when every player in it was fully committed. He was not flashy. He was not loud for the sake of being loud. He was exactly right for every single moment of every single song. Number 2. Bev Bevan. The Move was one of the most underrated British rock bands of the late 1960s, and Bev Bevan was behind the kit for all of it. When The Move dissolved into Electric Light Orchestra in the early 1970s, he came with it, anchoring one of the most ambitious and commercially successful pop rock projects of the decade. ELO's run from El Dorado in 1974 through Time in 1981 produced some of the most ornate and layered recordings in mainstream rock history. He held the rhythmic center of ELO together through string sections, studio orchestration, and some of the most densely layered production in mainstream radio history. Number 1. Michael Giles. King Crimson's debut record, In the Court of the Crimson King, released in 1969, changed what progressive rock believed it was capable of. Michael Giles was the drummer on that record, and his playing remains one of the quieter revelations in the entire genre. He brought a lightness and a jazz-informed intelligence to music that could easily have collapsed under its own ambition. He left the band after that first album and largely stepped back from the spotlight, leaving behind a single record's worth of work that has influenced more musicians than most people who played for decades ever managed to reach. Townsend famously called the album an immediate threat to everything the Beatles had been working toward, and part of what made that threat credible was the rhythmic sophistication Giles provided, a counterintuitive delicacy that gave Robert Fripp and Greg Lake the space to reach for something genuinely new. Sometimes one perfect thing is enough. Michael Giles gave the world one perfect thing, and it still sounds unlike anything else.